call the meeting to order at 6:01 PM, and the first agenda item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next agenda item is correspondence, visitors, and public comments. Agenda review. Julie, do you have anything?
Well, my thought was that the students could go before our administrative reports.
Yep. Yep. So, 7 a.m. there. Okay, perfect. Next is the approval of minutes. If somebody would like to make a motion to approve January 28th.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Stephanie. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Elaine. Any comments, questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 9-0. All right, next up is going to be the field studies presentation.
Perfect timing.
Yep. So we have Nate Poor and Jamie St. Marie as the two lead educators for the field study program, and they have some students with them. So if you guys just want to kind of talk a little bit about your program and what you guys do.
Yeah, so you guys saw the slideshow that we prepared last time around?
It's shared in the in our board report. Yep.
Well, we produced a slideshow to give you an update of the stuff that we've been up to since the first weeks of school, and all good stuff. But yeah, we were asked to come along here to answer some questions and to, I guess, provide a more human face to that cold slideshow. But yeah, 4 of our kids were nice enough to come along to provide the other perspective, not just the adult version of the story. But yeah, we went ice fishing last week. Maybe that's how some of us got sick. But we caught some perch and some walleye on Lake Carmine. We brought them back the next day and learned how to clean them and cook them, and we ate them. Before we did that, we were able to extract some good science education. In a conventional biology classroom, you dissect perch that arrive to the classroom in a plastic bag full of chemicals to preserve them and whatnot. And we get to do that exact same thing. We were able to do the dissection, take apart the fish, look at the stomach contents, look at the shape of the body, the adaptations, the coloration, the spiny dorsal fins, talk about why some fish have spiny dorsal fins and why it gives them an extra chance to survive when being caught by a predator. And yeah, unlike a conventional biology classroom where those fish go into the trash, we were able to salvage them, fillet them, fry them, and enjoy them. So that's a pretty good example of something that's happened in the past week that pretty well encapsulates the field studies difference, if you will. Very experience-based, very place-based. My dream is that, some of these kids that don't ice fish would be like, hey, this is kind of fun. Not a lot of fun, but kind of fun. and go back and do it as adults, and oh, here's where we can access Lake Carmine. There's the state park over here that I've never been to. So, all these kind of life skills, what does ice look like when it's safe for us to be on? All sorts of good stuff. Not trying to go too far back, but just a fresh thing from last week.
Okay.
What's that?
I was just wondering if each student would mind just saying their first name and what you like the most or about field studies, and what's the best benefit you feel that you're getting from being in this field studies program?
I'm Kaylee, and I think my favorite part are definitely the teachers and the people around me, but also like it's not just sitting in the classroom. We actually get to do a lot of hands-on stuff.
What's the biggest benefit you think that you're getting out of the program?
Probably a lot of things I learn in here I can use outside in the world. I've used the cardboard before, like we did. Learning how to tell different trees apart from each other and whatnot, and I've used that a couple times before.
I'm Ava, and the people in the classroom I think is my favorite part, and getting an opportunity that other kids don't in like regular classrooms, like we get out and do more things.
What do you think is the best benefit that you're able to get out of class?
Probably the different opportunities.
My name's Hunter, and I think the best thing is like being able to like, learn stuff hands-on, like not in the classroom and sitting there and just on papers and stuff. You get to like actually like learn it. Like we do math, we did the tree with a ruler. We could figure out how tall our tree was. Like we learned how to like cut birds up and duck hunting and stuff like that, and like just everyday skills that classrooms don't teach. Like we live in Vermont, and we're learning about like how to like credit scores and like stuff like that. Like it's just a lot easier to learn hands-on in class, and it helps me a lot better.
And what do you think is the biggest benefit?
It gives us a lot of opportunities to do stuff. Like Jamie helps us with we get she lets us do like job things. Like we're learning how to like take care of people. Like we booked a trip for $50,000, and we get to like do all that stuff and like learn how to do it in the real world. And like higher ability, that's a lot easier in field studies to do. Everything's a lot easier.
Thank you.
My name's Hunter, and my favorite thing about field studies is the bond we have with Jamie and Tor. It's not like a teacher bond, it's more like a friendly bond. I think that helps me learn better. It's not like they're kind of telling me what to do, like just strictly like teacher-wise. Yeah, that helps me a lot in class.
And the benefit that you think you're getting most out of the class?
Probably the stuff we learn helps us outside of school and will help you throughout your whole entire life.
You guys did a watershed project as well, right, up to Jay?
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
I go.
We did it start, and then that J was the final.
What?
So remember how we did stream discharge here?
Yeah, like we did like
all that.
we're not in class the whole time. Like we go outside a lot and like what kids are supposed to do. And we went to like Wall Farm Road and like learned about where the river goes and what watershed is, and like with all the rivers connect to the big lake. And we went to J, how it runs down the mountain and stuff like that. And that's how our water levels go up and stuff like that. It was pretty cool to learn too.
And you guys did a project with some trout?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
There you go.
You
Yeah.
2 years, go ahead.
So we went down, where was it?
Montgomery.
Montgomery. We went to the river and we met up with a biologist, and he brought an electroshocker, which helped us get data from the trout and their growth throughout the years. And what the shocker did was it sent like an electric shock through the water, and it would stun the fish. It wouldn't hurt them that much, but it would shock them enough for you to put them in a net, and then we would measure their length. What else did we do? We'd get their weight, and then we'd put it on a chart and analyze the growth throughout the year.
You put them back in the water afterwards?
There were a few nice ones that were taken.
Well, I know, all I could think of was like you were dissecting them and all that, so I didn't know.
No, we've asked over the years, and it's like, no.
And we've been doing this from day one of the program, so we have data all the way back to our first year.
Awesome.
So the kids get to see over the years, and they color code, they do graphing, and we do it based on weight and length. And they're like, okay, why is there so many of this blank? What happened last year? What color were they? Oh, they're the smaller ones. So they get to see over the years how much that system has changed.
Well, that's great.
It's a pretty unique situation for sure. I studied this stuff in college, and I never got to wear the backpack and electrocute fish. That's something the grad student did,
Yeah,
and I was, ooh, wow. But these biologists, we've got this relationship now where they actually let the students do the electroshocking, which is pretty cool, pretty unique situation. I'm not sure that kids at any college or university in our state are doing it. So pretty proud of it.
Is Lisa Mard still the,
He was, but
biologist?
he was on paternity leave this time around, so we didn't get to see him.
he's an MBU grad?
Yep.
And how many are in your average class? How
We
many?
take 15 max.
15.
Yeah.
It's pretty good size though.
And how frequently are you out of the classroom doing stuff?
Well, tomorrow it's supposed to be a high temperature of 8, so I warned them that it might be a conventional day tomorrow. But we try to be outside every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. When it's cold out, we have a severity stick just over a little ways past the softball field that we're taking data of snow depth and temperatures. So then they can look at whether or not it was a harsh winter for our animals, our wildlife. So that will come towards the spring, but when it is cold, we'll just take a quick trip, take our pictures and come back in and get right back to work.
That's great.
So we try to get outside the most we can, given the temperatures and the ice situations and
Does the data show that it's like it feels it's been cold this winter?
a little bit. The good thing is we don't have a lot of snow, so if we had a lot of snow and very cold, then it would definitely harm the wildlife, but.
Yeah.
Any other questions for him? Don?
Jen always looks over this way, when you want to see them. How many years may a student be in this field studies program?
So they can take it in the 10th grade, 11th grade, or 12th grade, and they can do it 3 consecutive years. It is an application process, so they have to reapply every time, every year. And then it's Nate and I meeting with some other panel members and determine if a second year is a good year, if we need to take them again, or if we feel, hey, 1 year they've taken everything we could possibly teach them, and now they need to spread their wings and try something different. So
So
it's
do-
all gonna be individually based.
So do you have a waiting list?
Oh, yes. We have 40 applicants that we've been interviewing for the last 3 weeks and accepting applications, and now the application window has closed on Friday. So now we're gonna go through it, meet with panel members and decide where we go from there. We call home, we talk to guidance counselors, and we interview the students to see if it's gonna be a good fit.
And how many can make it?
15,
So it is 15?
yes,
So it isn't like multiple classes of 15, it's just the one?
just 115, yep. We meet every day from 10:50 to the end of the day. So it's a half-a-day
Oh, wow.
program.
Oh. And you also usually have the same students in English. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, so I'm co-teaching that class as well.
Right.
This year, we do have it running. Last couple of years, we didn't. It all depends on staffing.
Right.
So what we're doing now with the Field Studies English is taking it based on what their kind of interests are, and then also tying in the standards. So we're kind of tying into the Field Studies curriculum as well. Do you guys want to talk a little bit what you're doing in English right now?
We're doing like Lord of the Flies. We're reading that, and we read that, and we do like character traits and stuff like that of all them, and then we watch the movie, and it's a lot easier than a normal English class where it's like what we like and not like what they want us to do, and like they're telling us to do this and this and that. And I'm someone that like I don't really like school at all, but like this year, like last year, I didn't even come to school a lot. This year, I go to school a lot more because I like it a lot more. Like I'm in field studies and I have field studies English, and with the kids that I've been in there, like I've created a bond where like I kind of enjoy coming to school now. And field studies English is like helps you. Like, it's not like I'm someone that has to like they have to talk to me for you to even figure out the work. So like Jamie and it was Miss Becker, but now it's Miss Warner, and they help us like more, even get English more hands on, and it's just a lot easier to enjoy school and want to come to school, and it just helps a lot. Everything helps.
For example, also at the beginning of the year, we read the book Gather, which is kind of Vermont-based, and the author talks about how they use survival skills and foraged on what was around. And we took walks to where we had previously gone for field studies and taught the kids, hey, these are wild grapes. This is staghorn sumac, and this is what you do and what they used to make pink lemonade, and that's how it came to be. So we could tie in from the field studies program what they were learning with that book so they can make those interrelationships and go out and say, hey, Miss Becker, take a look at this. And they like the fact that they can call out the teacher, and they didn't know about this staghorn sumac and how it could add the pink lemonade, and that's how it started. So they were able to just make those connections.
So when you get, you know, I'm assuming they get credit, do they
Yes.
get credit in, it appears like science and English, math too, or
Yes,
math?
yep, so our program itself, Field Studies alone, is a 4-credit program.
Is 4 credits?
Yes, so they get a math, a science, a PE, and an elective credit.
Okay.
And then Field Studies English, if it runs, it's all on its own with a 1 English credit.
Oh, okay, so that's a separate.
Yep.
Anybody else?
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Peter?
It just makes me really proud because I was a friend of Mike Kane, and I know he had a lot to do with developing this program with you
He did.
all. And I remember lots of conversations with him before this happened about, you know, his philosophy of learning, and I just love seeing it played out here at NVU every year with your students, because they just really, I mean, Hunter, you did the perfect advertisement for what he needs program.
It's really exciting that that we can offer alternative ways to learn, because like you said, not everybody loves school, not everybody's engaged, and that's okay. So being able to find ways to connect with students where they are, I love that you're doing that.
Makes our job easier too, though. Like when you hijack their interests based on the season, you know, it's so easy to teach. You just put the stuff out there, and it just happens, you know. So it's easy. It really is. Like when spring comes and everybody's, you know, wanting to go out open water fishing. You know, you put some things out there that have a science connection to, you know, damming a river in Swanton and the fish that can spawn and the fish that can't spawn. Bam, you've got everyone's attention. And you just, you know, for lack of a better term, you're hijacking their passion and you're using it for your own good.
I know they touched on this a little bit, and their interests, but it's not always Nate and I teaching. It's also the kids teaching. When they bring in certain birds or, you know, bring the waterfowl unit. And this one right here is a diehard waterfowl hunter. So when he brings it in, he does most of the teaching when it comes to stuff, and then we fill in if we need to for others in material and curriculum, but.
So I imagine you can probably incorporate, like they talk about the watershed, but, you know, the importance of clean water and all of that too.
Oh, yes,
Imagine that all that
absolutely.
is.
Yes.
So then in your environment and all those
Yes.
types of things,
Yeah.
I could just see how broad it can really be. Very, very exciting.
And we also canoe the lower Missisquoi so they can get
Yeah.
to see where it ends, where it starts and where it ends.
Yeah.
Great about it. Alternate ways to learn, and everybody learns the same, so. It's
Absolutely.
giving a great experience to kids.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Have a great night.
Appreciate it.
Great job.
And we've had Nate and Jamie in before, some of you guys may remember, but it's great to hear from them, just because they get different kids each year, and so they have different experiences about what they do, so it's great to kind of,
Dan, do most of the students that come through this program graduate?
yes.
They do. They
Yep.
stay with it,
Yep.
graduate.
Yep.
Dan, do you ever see the, I love the field studies program, I really do. I think it's really a great way to get kids to come to school, to learn, to graduate, to get out and give them the experiences they need to go out into the real world. It really teaches them a lot. I personally would love to see the program grow, to be able to fit in those 40 kids that could probably use it. Do you foresee that happening? Is there, I know things are, I know.
That's the hard part, is you know, I think a lot of it you heard from like the one hunter, the other hunter, Hunter 2, you know, just forming the relationships with Jamie and Nate, and those relationships that they have. And, you know, I think if you talk to any single one of those kids, they would all tell you that Nate and Jamie are in their corner constantly, and they're always championing for them. You know, and that is a half-day program. Unfortunately, I can't use them for the other half of it entirely, you know, because they do get the prep time and such. So it's tough to do that. I mean, it would be great to be able to have something in the morning for that. You know, it also kind of butts up against the tech program as well, and some of our animal science programs and mechanics and such. So there's always that kind of yin and yang with it, but at the moment there's no talk of expanding it, just because it's hard with that personnel. Yeah.
Also, I mean, as far as the class, I wouldn't want to see 20, 25 kids in there because they really need.
No, I mean,
yeah,
like,
yeah, but to double
another
it,
team.
Another
team,
class, another
Yeah.
team, another two
Yeah.
more teachers that are just as amazing as these two. And I know that would be difficult to do.
Yeah.
And no, I wouldn't want to see
Yeah.
the class get more than 15 students. I think
Yeah,
that would
that's
take away from
important,
the
that
students.
ratio.
No, I mean, those, I mean, Jamie and Nate are fantastic, and they've been doing this for a while. And they, I mean, just kind of, they could probably finish each other's sentences. They've been working together for so long, and they just have a great chemistry with the kids, and they all know that.
Do they get, they talked about interviewing, but guidance involved?
Oh, yeah.
You involved? They get referrals?
Yep.
Good.
Yep. So the referrals first come into guidance, then they go on to Jamie and Nate, and they sit down with everybody else, with some people in guidance, and kind of go through those applications to really figure out like who would be best served by this. You know, I think you heard from the one student, and you know, didn't come to school a lot, and so that might be a type of kid, not entirely, not 15 of those type of kids, but you know, those kids that might be on the fence with things. And you know, so it's great to get those kids back involved in school, or at least loving school and wanting to come.
I do know that Tanya, she's working hard on creating an alternative program. There's a team of folks looking at it. Christy's been a big help too with that. And she's thinking of something it would look different because the kids would be younger, but that is outdoor based, that, you know, hopefully having more opportunities for kids to come up with those hands-on opportunities that are really motivating for kids. So it's definitely, you know, we're aware that Mr. K, who works with a lot of our kids, and Nate, and, you know, the ag like so many of these programs that are very specialized, they're often very dependent on those individual skills that teachers bring, and we want to add, you know, more training for other teachers who maybe are interested in doing some of that work, because it's really very powerful in getting certain kids motivated and engaged.
Very good. Okay, so next we're going to jump back to item 6, the administrative reports. Start with MVU, the MVU report. Dan, you want to?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody had any questions on it or not. We had the 9th grade orientation here back on Wednesday the 15th after being postponed due to weather. Had a good turnout for that. Had some students, or had some families from Albury and from Sheldon in as well to answer some questions from them, so that was great. You may have seen some of the pictures. The softball team was recognized down at Vermont State House on Friday, January 24th. So they were recognized in front of the entire house, which was fantastic. And yeah, got a tour of the State House as well, which was great. They were a lot of wide eyes there, so that was good. They got to take down the blue bus as well, so Curtis got the blue bus out for them, and, which was kind of their motivation for the second half of the season, so that was great. Yeah, so that was good. You see the Field Studies link in there, and we've made sure that the link is accessible by everybody. You see some work with VSAC we've been doing around helping to sustain our work. We've got a meeting tomorrow morning with them, with VSAC as well, and how we're going to maintain and continue this work of providing post-secondary options and education for families and kids. Then we also had in there the Vermont Presidential Scholar, and Amelia Partlow was down actually a week ago, this other Monday, on the 27th. Deb Murray and I went down to watch Amelia Partlow get recognized. She was nominated by Deb, and so she's among the finalists in the state of Vermont for the Presidential Scholarship. There's about 160 seniors nationwide that are selected for this, and Amelia is one of the finalists for it. So she, there's kind of an application piece that goes with it, and then they're recognized there. I think that evening there were about 32 students from various tech centers, some were honorable mention, and then other students, just there's a general category, there's an arts category. Amelia was recognized in the general category for it. So she was there with some family members and got a picture taken down on the house floor, which was excellent. Christy's done a lot of work with the Puck Stops Here Award. So we've had Ricardo Perez. You guys may remember Ricardo was here. Ricardo put forth, he's still as busy as ever. He was here. He's presented an option for what's called the Thunder News Network. The TNN, as he calls it, he and some buddies. I've actually, if anybody was at the hockey game, Stephanie,
Yes,
you've seen him at the hockey game.
I saw him.
So he was recording.
And then I found out that night that that's what he was doing, and I was like, "What? Do I just look up TNN?"
It's on.
YouTube?
Yes, he's got a YouTube channel going. Yes.
I wanna watch
So, oh yeah, like I said, he doesn't stop. But he was awarded some of the Puck Stops Here grant to get some video equipment and some editing software that he may need. And so he's taken some footage around the school at various events and putting it out there. And the Thunder News Network runs during T-Bird time. So it's sent out on Mondays during Nest, and so he and some buddies sent that out, which is fantastic. The other part of that is Ariel Bigelow. Ariel was a winner last year as well. She's a middle school student. She is really interested in wanting to make sure that, and I want to make sure I get it right, that essentially hygiene kits for middle school students for people that may not be able to afford them, and just making sure that. So she was awarded some money as well. She did something very similar last year where they had hygiene, everything from shampoo to airbrushes and ties and all kinds of stuff. And this year was more feminine hygiene stuff, products that she'll be making kits for kids and families and kind of handing them out, which is great. And that's all from the Doug DeSorcy Award Committee. So the kids put through proposals, we take a look at them, and then we kind of award some of that money from there for that.
It's really exciting it's being used for such creative ways to give back to the school.
Yep. So we're really looking for something that is occurring here or within the community that kids really want to do. So that's been good. Yeah.
And what amount of money is available?
What amount? About $1,000. Yeah, so they award $1,000 each year, and then depending on what their projects are and how much they might need, then that gets awarded. Yep. So we'll get a picture of them pretty soon together, and
they have not been in school at the same time for a long time.
For a while. Yeah. But we'll get a picture of them together soon, and probably with Christy and I, and put that out to the news. So, yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Next is the FY26 budget promotion.
Did you have any
District
questions for the
office.
district administrators? Wendy is here.
I was like cruising right along.
Going fast.
That's okay.
When he's the last man standing. Sickness.
Hoping to stay healthy. It was a quiet afternoon. So in my report, I just shared about preparations for getting ready for the alternate assessment. And the description of that assessment is in the report if you have any questions about it, but that window will be opening up. I was checking my phone just to double check, March 10th through April 25th. It runs concurrent to the VTCAP assessments. So we have to submit some assurances around the percentage of students that will be taking that assessment. I submitted that via survey to the AOE today, and we'll be getting our users all onboarded for being able to administer that. And looking forward to successful administration and being able to share those results with the schools and families. And in early childhood, just this spring we'll be taking a look at our current model. I shared in the fall, the summertime, that we were making some changes in the pre-K program and delivery for 3-year-olds. So we're taking a look at how that's working. It's now hiring season starting to see if we can attract a teacher. The biggest reason for that change in the fall was that we weren't able to recruit a teacher to fill that last classroom position. So we'll be taking a look at how that's been going and the data around that, and working with each building-based administrator and the teams to kind of decide what we're going to do for next year moving forward.
How many 3-year-olds are we serving?
I'd have to look, Dawn. We have some smaller groups of 5 in one classroom, and other classrooms that are more full. It tends to be fuller in the Swanton area, but I could email that to you if you'd like. Give you the most up-to-date numbers.
And the new room in Franklin working out well?
I'm hearing good things about that. Tomorrow I actually get to go meet the pre-K kiddos at Echo from Swanton. So that's a trip we've done annually. Everybody's really excited about that. We've had a partnership with Echo for quite a few years, working with them to bring Echo to the classroom. And then as part of that, students have got a chance to go down there and experience that. And so, things are moving along, and we'll take a look, and we'll have our spring data for TSG for our 4-year-olds to look at and share with kindergarten as they transition. So keep you posted on how that's looking.
Thank you. Was Tanya there?
Yep.
And is Beth on?
There she is.
There you are. Any good news from the, any good news from the Agency of Education?
That's a loaded question.
I know there've been a lot of changes, and Laura keeps up to date on the finance, but as far as, are there any rules that are hot on the agency's agenda, or are things pretty quiet?
None that I know of, Dawn. Wendy, you have your hand up?
I heard a new thing today at our directors meeting, and that is that they are shifting their monitoring. So cyclic monitoring has been on a 3-year cycle, which means every 3 years we go through this monitoring process, which is not aligned with federal, which is every 6 years. So they're moving into a 5-year cyclic monitoring cycle. And one of the biggest benefits of that is their capacity to support that monitoring process. Because doing it in 3 years cycles has been challenging for them because the cohort sizes of the districts involved. So that was some good news today, Tanya, at that meeting. I know you were in a different thing for HHB, so I was glad to be there to hear that.
Good, thank you.
Yes.
That's great news.
It's still more frequently than the federal
Yeah,
requirement,
I
which
picked up on
Vermont,
that.
Vermont sometimes does that. They have a little.
Vermont always does that. I will say, the one thing I want to make sure I do point out during this part is that there is a legislative breakfast on Monday.
In Swanton, right?
No, at the Northwest Career and Technical Center. Superintendents in Franklin County, we've organized it. And it will be at I forget the name of the restaurant in the Career and Technical Center, but it's held there. And we expect it to be more of a, to be very education focused, and with lots of questions and feedback there, but it's at 8 o'clock on Monday morning.
I think the one in Swanton is general public, and it's the end of the month.
Yes.
Anybody have anything for Beth Ann?
Yeah, for Beth Ann, I don't know, Beth Ann, if you were engaged with us when we had the elementary principals, but I did ask Chris about the reduction in students in Swanton and, you know, where you were with a plan to either hold that or increase it. Any update on Swanton's after-school program?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Unfortunately, we lost a couple staff members over the winter break that were integral in our programming and quite literally couldn't maintain our safety standards without them. So we did have to cut basically a program a day and made sure that every student still was able to stay enrolled at least one day a week. It was just their days were reduced. And right now we're working with, I'm actively seeking people. We've had a couple parent volunteers step up. We are speaking with all of the teachers in Swanton tomorrow, actually, and just letting them know that, you know, we can be flexible. We'd love to have them join our team, whether it's for a day or 2 days. I am also working with Matt Wolf at Vermont After School, who does a lot of team coaching, and he is specifically focusing on the Swanton After School team to make sure that whatever we're doing there is creating a culture of empowerment and something that our staff members are excited to be a part of. So we've got some parent volunteers stepping up, which is fabulous. We are reaching out to teachers in the elementary school, trying to get to know them better than we already do. And I am pretty routinely interviewing folks that apply online, and that is hit or miss. But we have found a couple gems through that process, and we are just keeping at it. And as we enroll for spring, we are just being very conscientious of how large our programs can stay. So we're going to make sure that, you know, we're accommodating as many kids as we can within the safe ratio of consistent, reliable staff members that we have. So thank you for bringing that up. It was not an easy decision to make, but, you know, safety comes first, so.
Great, and then superintendent's report. Anybody have any questions for Julie on that one? Which was.
Do you have any updates, Julie, at all on what's happening?
Well, I have a separate one in the agenda under discussion, so,
Okay, we'll talk.
you know, we
Okay, we
can
then.
talk
Okay.
further
Yeah.
about that. But I did want to make sure that people knew about the legislative breakfast.
Great. Now we'll go to the FY26 budget promotion.
So JR has been very, very, very busy, but doing a great job. I just brought up the school website just to make the board aware that there's now a budget tab on the bottom here. We might make that a pop-up. It can't be any bigger or brighter. I asked that question.
I want it yellow.
It can be a pop-up, and that might get more attention, but just to kind of, if people are asking questions, please encourage them to go to our website. Tax rates are going down, as we know. That was the flyer that everyone should have just received as well, front and center. We have information about our budget meeting. The Zoom link is there. We have the polling places and times. We also have the warning here if you do the drops down, so they can read about what they're going to be voting on, the whole budget process. So lots of information here. Our frequently asked questions are on this as well. So I really think it's it's continuing to grow, we're constantly adding things, and JR's been doing a great job keeping it updated, so, a great place to point people. Social media posts have been going out 2 or 3 times a week, so also encourage people to share those if they can. A lot of good information, and I know he's monitoring sort of like the analysis of how many clicks we're getting and how long people are staying on it and things like that. He's also been working on the Messenger article, and we're gonna shorten that a little bit this year. It's gonna be about 2 pages instead of 4. So he's been working on that. What else am I missing? Oh, OpenGov, we're getting ready to launch that into our online budget book. It's all prepared, it just has to be turned into an online book now. So we're working on that, and JR is also assisting with that.
Christy starred in our first principal
Christy did
video
a great
series.
presentation.
That was, I hope
Phenomenal
you
job.
go on the website and
saw
take a
that.
look at
Yeah,
that.
I saw it.
It's
It was
really,
very good, yeah.
really good.
And just today, Jason Butler spent most of the entire day, and so did Yashua and some others up here at MVU, I think, with EEI is doing a promotional video to market the upcoming projects, but also the projects that have been done, and hoping to have that out before the informational meeting.
So do we have a presentation ready for the informational meeting?
We
or-
do.
We do.
I wasn't sure what, if we were sharing the whole thing, not tonight, I don't think we're going through it.
It wouldn't make sense to go through the whole thing 2 weeks in a row, but it is linked in here.
No, I just thought we were going to, have an opportunity to review it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you want to go about doing that, but that's a draft of it right there.
I think we can email it out. I think JR was planning to email it out before Friday, if that works, so that you'd have time to give feedback if you want, but, and that's great. I think, we tried to keep it short and simple. We utilized the, Nate Levinson state, presentation kind of template, but then it was way too long. It's like 40 slides. We narrowed that down, tailored it to us, really hit the highlights. Tax rates are going down very clearly. I mean, just to give you a sneak peek, slides like this, where we're just saying, Franklin, Highgate, tax rates are going down 4 cents, 11 cents, 6 cents, and then what the impact is. So lots of charts and graphs that hopefully people can understand the situation. Also, we can take pieces of this to put on the website and on social media also. So,
Is there the line-by-line budget available as well? Because I know that people want that.
yeah, on the website. Also, the online budget book, sorry, oops, the online budget book also that we're preparing, it's gonna be much more involved, much more detailed, so people will really be able to drill in. So I know we had some questions from Yvonne, I think 2 meetings ago, about like, what do we spend on athletics, different departments, things like that. We have a page built for that. So we have a page built for special ed, we have a page built for administration, we have a page, so people will really be able to dive deep if they want to, so.
That's great.
So a lot going on.
Excellent, thank you very much, Laura.
And did you, last time we discussed if we were going to have just Brennick read all the slides, or if you were gonna divide them up. And I think that's an important decision for you to make, so that we can then,
I think that was why I was asking if that was ready, because I think that was one of the things we discussed was, perhaps if we were able to review it, we could kind of decide, who would say what slide, or if that's even the way, the direction we're gonna go in.
I know we've done it that way in the past, right, Julie?
yes.
So like if Don or Peter wanted to talk about projects, or Stephanie, and tailor to certain pages to certain people. How many slides is it total?
Let's see.
Like 20, I think, something like that. 3 people,
Excuse me,
2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, but my camera's not working and that's fine, because I've had a rough couple days. I was just saying that, and I sent a text to everyone, if board members want to review it on their own time and let me know which slides that they would like to brief, and they can just send that to me. And I can kind of keep a list of what everybody says, and then I can fill in whatever gaps there are. And probably right ahead of the meeting, I'll just sort of say, hey, this is the order of what we're doing, and fix if there's any conflict or that. But they can send that right to me, and I'll volunteer to do that unless somebody else would like to do that.
All right, so everybody will just review and let Rennick know which
Yeah, that
ones
sounds
you'd
good.
like to do.
Now, is this something you've already done, Rennick, or you will be doing?
He will be doing.
You will be doing?
Yeah, he
Okay.
hasn't reviewed
Yeah,
it either.
last year, God, that seems like a long time ago.
It's because we did it 3 times. Last year was awkward.
You know what? I don't even remember.
I think last year I did it all, Rennick. And then,
Yeah.
I think we had some people that couldn't make it, and
There
I
were a
think
lot of people absent.
a lot of people absent, and last year I ended up doing it all. So
For at least one of them.
Yeah, because we had more than one.
We had
Oh,
three.
right, because we had 3.
No wonder it's so jumbled. But it really is about probably 20. There's not a lot of text on the slides, which is nice. We're not reading a lot of
I did
words.
here.
So it's
Which was what, the last
it was a pretty nice template, but as Laura said, there was a lot of how the Ed Fund works, multiple
Right.
detailed slides that were confusing and not necessarily helpful to our
Do we
community.
know if everyone's going to be here? Because if there's 20 slides and there's 9 of us, but only 3 people are going to be here, that's going to change things
I
pretty drastically.
unfortunately will not be here.
Okay,
Yeah.
so anyone else not here next week?
I'll be here.
Is it next Tuesday?
Yeah,
Next Tuesday at 7.
I'm trying to stay healthy.
One of the things that I thought of, I didn't know that what we're going to decide tonight, if I did just whisper to Peter, and I don't know how much time you want to take, but on facilities, I think it would be really neat with the new Franklin, if Peter spoke to Franklin School, maybe Steph do something that would focus on Swanton, and if that is true, I would certainly become a little more knowledgeable, share about Highgate. If each one of us had 1 minute or whatever, but I don't know if you've got that kind of time or how you want to do it.
We have one slide for capital projects, and it's focused on what we're doing in this budget.
Yeah.
So we've got the Swanton HVAC and electrical, we've got the MVU roof and the Highgate roof, windows and doors.
Okay.
So those are the projects that we reference, and it's literally, these are the projects we're accomplishing with a level funded capital line. That's essentially the whole slide.
I haven't seen it yet, so, but I'll look at it when they send it out, but I can make stuff up on the side.
Well, yeah, the point is that you can take questions and that you can extemporize.
And I'll get it and
Yeah.
send it.
Can't say that word.
And these are the things we've done.
So there'll be 8 of us there,
People
so I just want to make sure that
Right.
that's
Yeah.
an accurate number. We can sort of break it down from there.
And I can take a slide,
It was awkward at one of them where it was like, hey, Joanne, do you want to talk about this? It's
I
like,
remember
no, I
that.
don't.
So Rennick said that he would send it out and we could volunteer from there. Is
I
that
think
right?
I just sent it out. I
Yeah.
think
You just sent it out.
if I pick the right
It's the
group,
buildings on it.
I don't ever send them out to the group.
So you should all
just
have
gone-
them, and then you can
I got
let
it.
us know which ones are of interest to you.
Okay.
And
You got it, yeah.
Sounds
Right.
good.
See, I
Thank
did
you.
it.
I'm sorry if it took a little while to get there, but I got it now.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so next agenda is the legislative updates. Julie, on the agenda that was sent out, like you have it highlighted in blue here to catch a link on the paper, but I don't have
It's not on the website, I just linked it today for
okay.
myself to be able to pull it up so I could speak to it.
Okay, perfect.
Because I was putting my thoughts in writing today. Because things are pretty fast moving or slow moving, depending on how you're looking at it. We've had a number of presentations to joint House Education and Ways and Means, and then Senate has had some things too, but they've been less focused on these pieces. Most of the activity's been happening in House Ed, around the governor's proposals. There was a proposal last, I think it was Friday, at a joint meeting where they went through with their APA consultants what the funding model would look like. Legislators had lots of questions about where these numbers were coming from, and are they modeled on actual schools, or are they modeled on schools that do not yet exist, and where is that coming from? Today, and I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I did see there's a YouTube video, and I do recommend the House Education YouTube channel. Has really good coverage of their committee meetings. And there was a follow-up finance committee, finance presentation from the secretary and APA today. So I recommend looking at that. The modeling that they came up with is per pupil spending of $13,200, but that's before weights are added. And then they spoke to categorical aid, and then they would be, special education, transportation. And they're trying to make up the gap in spending, which confuses me in special ed, because Act 173 was about shifting some special ed costs to general ed so that we would be reducing special ed costs. I see that they're noticing that it's really not sufficient right now, so I think they're really trying to make this foundation formula more than adequate. But we mostly have questions of, is this built on hypothetical schools of 450 elementary kids that don't exist? And how are we going to get there? So there are a lot more questions than there are answers. This week, they are expecting a presentation on their 5 model districts that they're modeling all of this around, and what they would look like in terms of governance and in terms of administration, and how many people would they have? What would they look like? What would the structure administratively be to run a school district with 35,000 students in it? It does not strike me as a cost savings to have a district with that many students. You'd have to have many layers of people to do work in different areas. But 10,000 students, maybe, right? So it's there. I know the House Ed has a lot of questions about what is the right size. So we're sort of waiting for some bills to be, I can only assume that the governor has a plan as they're rolling out testimony week after week, that then there's a bill waiting to come behind that. Additionally, there was a State Board of Education special meeting this week, and Laura and I both watched it. I think Wendy watched a little of it. It was interesting. The topic is that part of this proposal, Transforming Education, is a proposal to have the Agency of Ed take over rulemaking and take that away from the State Board of Ed. Before, when there was a commissioner and a Department of Education, the State Board of Ed had authority over the commissioner and the department, right? And there was a flow there. Now that's not the case. You have a governor-appointed state board that's not necessarily representative, and then you have it from around the state, and then you have the secretary who answers directly to the governor. So that's all executive branch. So this conversation, to say that it was circular would be an understatement. They really struggled to even take a straw poll about one thing without, interjecting and so forth, because they had a lot of questions. It was really about stripping the authority of the State Board of Education, and the testimony in public comment from superintendents, school board association, principals, former superintendents and commission members, and a principal, and a former Agency of Ed, longtime Agency of Ed employee, all testified that having the agency in charge of making the rules and implementing the rules is probably not a good idea.
Not a good idea?
Not a good idea. However, Secretary Saunders was very strident in her response to that and said many, if not most states, have that kind of a system, and it works very efficiently. And in order for this transformation to occur, that efficiency needs to be there. So I think the legislature has a lot of discussion about how what's necessary. And at the same time, there's been a lot of conversation about whether it's a mistake to have an agency and whether it should go back to being a department, and what the role of the State Board of Ed is. So that was also part of the conversation. Actually, Armando Villaseca gave testimony today or Friday? Today, I think, in House Ed about what it was like in that transition from being a commissioner to being a secretary, and what the differences were from before and after. So that was quite interesting, actually.
More powerful, less powerful?
More I mean, as a department, there was more autonomy, and it was less, I mean, everything is political, but it was less directly political. And so, you know, if you have a governor with strong opinions, then you have a secretary with those opinions and a department that's going in that direction. As a commission and department, it went through, the governor did appoint the state board, so it was, but it was more indirect. And there was more authority probably as a commissioner, as an educational expert, rather than a political part of the administration.
Yeah.
So those were some of the questions that came up.
About 20 years ago, they started reducing the power of the state board, little by little by little. And this looks like this probably is kind of the final nail in the coffin. You know. I was pleased to hear you say that the testimony is probably it's not a good idea, because it's not a good idea. I don't think, if they look back historically, you know, I served on the state board, but as I look at the state board members, I don't think many of them had the background. I mean, they may be all good, smart people.
Right.
But history repeats itself if you don't remember the history, and I think that's what they're doing right now. But it must be fun down there. I've avoided going down.
There's a lot going on. Just a couple of other things. The cell phone ban will likely occur. It's interesting because the language is cell phone in all electronic devices. I enjoyed the testimony from one of the legislators who said she accidentally aged herself and said, so a Sony Walkman, oops, those don't exist anymore, but that would be an electronic device. And yes, it would be. So it's more than just cell phones. Obviously, there would be exceptions for students who need to monitor their blood sugar levels, things like that. But it also speaks to schools should not be using social media to communicate with students directly. So athletics or any other kind of required use of social media. It doesn't mean schools can't use social media to communicate with families and the community broadly, but in terms of I require you to get on Instagram so that you can, or use Facebook or Snapchat in some way as part of the curriculum or educational experience, and really kind of making sure that educators and students are not communicating versus social media.
Is there any discussion about apps? Because like as an athlete, you are expected to have the Sports Engine app, and the coaches communicate through that. So if the students can't have access to their electronic devices, how do they get updates on athletics? Or is that an exemption, or is that?
I don't know that it would be an exemption. Whether it would depend upon the final bill and what the definition of social media is, and whether it's an app or not. The way it seems to be leaning is they wouldn't want kids using their cell phone to find out about the game this evening, right?
But if it was an app that you could get on your Chromebook,
that might be different.
Perhaps, then it might be.
As long as there's not that sort of back and forth communication that is really, and there was a specific definition of social media in there that I think really is key to that answer to that question.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, I didn't really answer it, but
enough.
So the district restructuring, will be this week, that presentation. Senate Ed was talking about school construction and PCB legislation this week. So those would be, if you have an interest there, those would be interesting videos to watch. And again, that legislative breakfast next Monday at 8 o'clock at Northwest Career and Technical Center.
How long does that go till?
Oh, it's usually an hour or two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Julie, do we have any legislators in Franklin County on the Ed Committee in either the House or Senate?
Casey Toof.
Who is?
Casey Toof from St. Albans. And the other thing that's going on is the Agency of Ed has created policy sprint teams where they have people from the field, student superintendents, school board members, et cetera, principals that are a part of that. And they're looking at the policy, the nitty gritty of what the transition would need to do. So they're looking at pre-K, CTE, accountability and ed quality, transformation timeline, governance, education workforce, after school, and special education. So that work is happening at the agency in teams as well. So
Who's running the numbers on projected costs and savings? Is that legislative council or?
that is so far, that has been the APA consulting. They did have a good session with legislative council around the different statutes that would need to be changed, chartering school districts and unified union school districts, and what once the legislature identifies its goals, what are the questions that would need to be asked, what legislation would need to be crafted, and what statutes would need to be changed to meet those goals. But it's so preliminary. I mean, they were sort of, there were people that didn't know the difference between an SEU and a school district, so there was a lot of catching up. There's a lot to be done should they move forward with this proposal.
It's very difficult to believe there's big cost savings. Very difficult. But smart people can come up with dumb answers, I guess.
So I will, bring you the latest each time. I did put a copy of this in the drive for you to, and of course your Vermont School Board Association does a really nice job of giving you updates as
The
well.
update today was very helpful.
Yeah.
It has links to all of the joint hearings and presentations, so that was,
Yes.
I found it very helpful.
They're very helpful.
Okay, next agenda item is Highgate Principal Search Board representation.
Yes, Renick wanted me to ask if another Highgate board member wanted to serve on the Principal Search Committee.
I can do it.
I'm looking at you. Jen did it last time.
Yeah. I'll do it.
We're all done negotiating.
I was gonna say, I survived negotiations, I can do this.
Typically, it's a day,
All right.
so it's not that burdensome and we usually will have a parent if we can get a parent. We usually have 2 teachers. I'll probably rope Tanya Hayes in as a central office administrator with special ed background. Those kinds of representation. I'm usually on it because it's principal and Bonnie.
Okay.
I don't think I'm looking over here like Bonnie's sitting over here, but I think that's typically what we
She's
do.
up
I will
there.
also put out a survey to Highgate staff, as I did in Swanton, with leadership qualities, national leadership qualities of principal, and get their input. That helps us design the questions a lot of times.
Any applications or?
We do, we have a few.
Good. All right. Thank you, Elaine.
You're welcome.
Next agenda item is business office for action, warrants. consistently.
Open this up.
Pierrette. Let's read it.
You reading it this time, Pierrette?
I didn't know I was reading it.
Oh, I can read it. I got it up. I just
It's been your
make it
job,
bigger.
so-
Oh, there we go.
I didn't want to take it away from you.
I'm good. I'm all right. Let's see. So for the month of January, accounts payable $1,136,065.31. Payroll checks $40,032.33. Payroll other disbursements $573,148.25. And payroll deductions of $834,355.99 for a total of $2,583,601.88.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to accept the warrants?
So moved.
Thank you, Pierrette. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Megan. Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Rennick. Motion carries 9-0.
A question for Laura. As you look at, we have 5 months expenditure, well, 6, but are we pretty much on target where we should be at this point of time?
On target for where we usually are. Yes. Yeah, keeping
So
an eye on special
there's
ed.
been no big, kind of unexpected, not any, either
Knock on
savings
wood.
or say,
Yeah, no, I think at the moment we're doing okay. I did prepare a financial report. I think that's, I don't want to skip ahead,
That
but
is the next thing.
yeah.
Which brings us into the next one, FY25 financial report.
Nice segue, Dawn.
So there is a brief financial report, which is missing an M. Summary, I tried to break down the revenues and expenses that we're sort of keeping an eye on, or that there's been some changes to mention. Overall, we're running about a $4 million surplus right now, but there is a lot of school left, and we know that typically.
a lot of winter left.
And this is also when our facilities, really start thinking about having the supplies they need for the summer, and we have some other things that typically happen this time of year, but we are really trying to put in POs to anticipate all of the costs that we know about. Just today, Anne Marie in my office was spent a lot of time looking at Franklin, because we know Franklin Addition has more utility usage, but it became more efficient at the same time. So looking at what do we anticipate for the remainder of the year for those bills and adjusting those. So we're constantly doing that kind of thing. But I don't, knock on wood, we haven't had a lot of surprises. So I feel really great about where we are. So I don't know if anyone has specific questions about any of the things I mentioned or in general. Some of the savings does come from open positions, as we know, or shifts in positions.
I'm not sure where it was, I'm looking for it now, but there was, and there was a line item, it's like purchase, services was over quite a lot, so I'm assuming we couldn't hire
Under
people in
SLP
speech
and
or something?
psychology, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So we, because we have to contract it out, is that what that?
Yeah,
what that
we
was?
contract it out because we can't fill the positions, and then we'll adjust for that every budget season. We adjusted for that in the 26 budget, yeah. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky to anticipate, so we do our best, you
Right.
know?
No, I
We still
understand.
keep the positions in the budget if we think there's any chance we can hire them, and that's what we prefer. But yeah.
Thank you.
They're not inexpensive for sure, the
Oh,
SLP.
yeah, no, I mean, it
Yeah.
just kind of stands out, but I thought that's what it was, but.
That's exactly, yeah.
Laura, any unusual, unexpected expenses on our facilities? I just whispered to Peter, facility's not gonna be meeting this month, but I'm sure we'll get back together in March, but I haven't heard anything on the street, so I assume it's not too
There's a
much.
couple of things. Facilities is always interesting. Radon that we knew about. We knew that there was a deadline at the end of this year to become tested for that, and then you have to remediate or address it somehow. But we've gotten more pressure because our early childhood programs get have a higher level of regulation, and so they've reached out to us saying, this is coming, you need to be in compliance or you're not gonna be able to run, so, that is, Jason and I are talking a lot about that. Franklin is all set, that one was done already. Highgate, Swanton, and MVU would need to be done. The cost for that is somewhere in the range of $30,000 to $35,000 just to test. So, and then if you find something.
Per school.
Not the total, that's total for all three, but that's just testing. In one school, I don't wanna speak out of turn, but it's hundreds of samples that they have to take out of one building. So that's something that I'll be communicating with you about when we have a better idea. Right now, we're think maybe we can get on the schedule for March, but all the schools have to comply with this. And it is expensive, and people didn't necessarily budget for it or know if it was actually going to happen, because sometimes these things haven't, or no follow through. So that's one, and then I would say the other one is EEI and I are starting to become concerned about the tariffs that may be put into place and the projects that we have going on. We may need to talk about expediting or changing our LOIs, or saying, agreeing to purchase materials. Waiting till town meeting day might not be in our best interest if the tariffs do happen with Mexico, Canada, different places where we would be specifically looking to get supplies for the roofing projects. So we're monitoring that. I need to talk to John more. I reached out to Peter today, and then once we have some information, I'll reach out to facility committee and see. I don't really have a recommendation.
I think it makes it worse because it's a 30-day hold right now for Canada and Mexico.
30 days.
As long as.
And when's town meeting day from February 4th?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah.
But if they're gonna, so I asked John today, so can we wait 30 days to get to town meeting day, And he said, really, no, because we would need to know now. He's talking with the vendors some more, but, it's just something we have no control over. If you want the projects to happen, you need to get the materials. So, those, yes, Don, there's, and when I have real information, I'll email.
It'll be interesting, but seems to be a lot of pushback, so.
All right, internal control questionnaire.
So that's the document that is required every year about this time from the Agency of Education. Basically, it's a self-audit that I complete, and then the board basically says yes or no, we agree with these things, or that we have been provided that information and you're comfortable with what's happening inside the business office, basically, signing checks, checks and balances being in place. Having printed check numbers and not creating them, having receipt books, things like that. Do we use the uniform chart of accounts? Do we have an automated computer system, So it covers a lot. You'll see the same names over and over and over again, but really it's the entire business office that works on all of this.
Do you need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the internal financial controls checklist for schools for MVSD.
Thank you, Peter. Second? Excuse me.
I'll second.
Elaine can have it. Okay, Elaine can have it. There we go.
Fair, you play fair.
Did you get to the end of the list?
Any questions or comments?
Just had one question. I see your name a lot, Laura, but I'm assuming some of that is just supervisory union, like another is supervising it, not being the person that's doing all this, and because I'm thinking there goes the check and balance, so that's what that means, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we do not have one process that only one person looks at.
Yeah.
A lot of the time it's two, or sometimes I would say a lot of times it's even three people that are involved in a process. Yes. Yeah. But I put who was ultimately responsible, and then maybe the next level down. But if anyone is ever interested in understanding what happens with a bill from start to finish, or a credit card, or an Amazon order, or the finance committee obviously is aware of those transactions, but I'm happy to fill people in on how that works if they want more detail.
Laura, how many financial accounting personnel do we have?
If just in my office, we have one payroll person, one AP person, an admin assistant, not a grant person, sorry, an accounting specialist, and myself.
So I was just wondering, because it has the question about taking regular vacation. Only has your name there, so I was wondering if we should.
I'm the one that's responsible to make sure that people do take regular vacations.
Okay.
And that they leave their desk and I can log into anything that they can log into and make sure that,
Everybody can't take the last 2 weeks of June off.
Well, it's really about making sure that more than one person can see the work and
Right,
can see what they're doing.
yeah.
Because they found that, right, with especially a lot of small towns where.
Absolutely.
That's
If
how
it's
they
that
found the
one
fraud,
person
Yeah.
who never goes
Yeah.
anywhere and they're the only one who can do it, that's one of those accounting challenges. That's a red flag.
The auditors actually ask if I'm out of the office, I'm not promoting a long vacation, but one of the questions they ask is, am I away for 2 weeks?
Yes, they want 2 weeks.
They want a period of time where I'm not present.
Sign me up.
Because
That's how
what-
I know.
That's what banks apparently require that.
Right, yeah.
Not anymore, but yeah, well,
No, they-
that was
not
it's a
anymore?
5-day minimum, but yeah,
5
you're
days?
locked out of all systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want it to be long enough that someone would discover something if there was a problem.
Right. Yeah.
I know you're people very busy, but when during the year do you try to do cross-training?
Constantly.
So that other people,
Constantly.
if somebody gets sick, somebody
Yeah.
leaves, all the good things are in place. People at least have an understanding. They may not have the in-depth that they'll need, but
I would say anyone in my office, well, the admin assistant is a different situation, but any of the other 5 of us could step into any of the jobs and do them at this point. We're pretty lucky. For a short amount of time. I'm not sure they want to do it for a really long time. They could step in
You have the
and
knowledge.
we would still
You
operate.
have the
Yeah.
knowledge.
just thinking in emergency, if somebody,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's something we're really proud of. We were just talking about it today. Like, we work so closely. It's constant communication, and that's what makes it work. And everybody's involved in everything. And some people might think that's not efficient, but it actually is very efficient. Believe it or not.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Rennick?
I think he had already said it before we started again.
Oh,
It was good a
okay.
while ago.
Yeah, he was,
All right. Motion carries 9-0.
he said it at 7:14.
At 7:14.
Yeah, that was all.
I was looking for something fast. So I was like,
4 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's okay. It's like, I'm done with this, aye. Okay, next is School Board Appreciation Month.
Well, I wanted to give my thanks to school board members for all that you do. So I made a little purchase for each of you, and you have a little MVSD pen too, because I know how much you like those pens. But I just wanted to let you know how much your work is important just to me it's to all of us, but I just wanted to let you know how important your work is to me and my work with the administration and the school. And you have little plaque things that say difference maker, because you all make a difference to us and to the school and the broader community. And I just, it's such a, one board meeting a month and that's all. It's no time at all, right? But you do give so much of yourselves, and I appreciate it. So I wanted to give you a little token of that appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will just follow up to say that Julie and I have several conversations a week about how much we enjoy working with all of you and how lucky we are. So thank you for that.
Okay, next agenda item is future board meetings will be February 18th, the Swanton Elementary School at Swanton Elementary Library at 6 p.m. And then budget informational meeting will be February 11th at 7 p.m. here at the MVU Library. Negotiations update is the next one, finding for executive section. action. Do I have a,
I'll make a motion that it
we have finding,
for executive
executive
session.
Thank you, Peter.
The thing with the thing.
The thing with the thing.
I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0. So, possible executive session for the purpose of confidential professional staff negotiations. So, we will go.
Joanne, are you making the motion to go in?
Yes.
I was like,
That was so
Is there a
subtle.
second? I'll second. Thank you, Stephanie. And we would invite in Julie.
And Laura? Or is she
Or
gets
Laura.
to?
She's like, I don't need to go.
I just pulled you right in.